Okay, Surveys and the Human Sciences by Jorge Andrés Rincón. First of all, these are the results of our survey. The survey my two other partners and I did. I'll be referencing several of these results throughout the presentation, and I'll be including some of these questions throughout the presentation. First, the knowledge issue I extracted from this real-life situation provided by the theory by my TOK teacher was: how does society's expectations influence our expression of the truth? Okay, so first of all, I'll define some key terms for the sake of simplicity and the purpose of this presentation. I'll define influence as an impact, something that affects or alters another thing, in this case, the expression of truth. Truth will be defined as a verified or undisputable fact, proposition, principle, or the like. Also, society will be defined as a body of human beings generally associated or viewed as members of a community, in this case, the FDR community. Okay, so the first part of the knowledge issue analysis. To identify the values society has, it's been very simple. Society expects individuals to be honest, organized, to value punctuality. There are many traits within human characteristics that are viewed as positive and others as negative. People tend to see disorganization or irresponsibility as unpopular beliefs. As society expects each individual to behave in a certain manner, in an honest way. So we can see that people tend to avoid expressing unpopular beliefs. As we move on through the analysis, we see that the results show a strong distaste for cheating, disorganization, and irresponsibility. It was a unanimous 13 out of 13 students asked who said that cheating is wrong. They believe that cheating is wrong. We also see that there's a potential tendency to avoid expressing weaknesses, since most of the students who were asked, "Are you a persuasive person?" said yes, or when they were asked, "Are you an effective writer?" they also said yes. In both cases, 9 out of the 13 students surveyed said they had these two qualities as strengths and not as weaknesses. This may be a behavior towards avoiding identifying weaknesses, since society expects individuals to be effective writers. People tend to say, "Oh yes, I'm good at this," instead of saying, "No, I'm really too bad at this." Well, what does this imply? Well, if people refuse to acknowledge the truth behind their behavior, then we might have inaccurate conclusions. For instance, students who are actually cheating do not say they're cheating because society expects them not to be cheating. They value honesty and responsibility, so they influence their expression of the truth. They say, "No, I'm not cheating," because they will feel bad about it if society finds out they were cheating. So they say, "No, I'm honest and I'm not cheating." So we can see that society expects us to behave in a certain way, and so we humans tend to claim we do, even if we do not do so. Significance. We see that several ways of knowing, such as language and reason, are tarnished by these tendencies. As we can see, researchers like psychologists or historians might reach erroneous conclusions based on these behaviors. We can see that if they're trying to find out how many people cheat or how people feel about cheating, they will reach an inappropriate conclusion, since in many cases the students might be lying. We can see also in question 2 and 10 the clear divergence and contradiction between the students, when in question 10 most of them said no, the government should not influence the religious perspective of a person, while in 2 they said that if an ideology threatens a country, then the nation should intervene. In both cases, we see a clear contradiction, where in one most of them said yes, while in the other most of them said no. So we see the contrast between unpopular values. So if a historian or a psychologist were trying to get a poll on public opinion, if there's loaded questions, people might not be portraying the actual truth. They might be portraying society's expectations of saying, yes, we should protect our country in certain cases, or yes, we should protect our individuality in certain occasions. which shows how the truth is not being portrayed accurately. Also, as a personal example, in eighth grade we were once asked whether we were studying a lot before a quiz, if we were investing enough time to earn a good grade in exams. Most of us said yes. However, we knew that in recent exams we had not been studying much, it was expected of us to be organized, disciplined, and responsible students and study hard for each of our exams. However, I knew what was expected of me, so I simply said no. I would rather go with what society wants instead of saying the truth. Also, from another perspective, we see that adults might actually, out of this academic context, might actually believe all of the results. As a student, I know that in many occasions the surveys we take are not are not answered with complete sincerity. We sometimes avoid uncomfortable questions, such as the cheating one, or whether we turn in assignments late. We avoid saying the truth because we are expected to be responsible. We are simply expected to behave in a certain manner, and we try to claim it through the surveys. Adults who are not involved in a school might actually fully believe each claim and ignore the high possibilities of people who lie. That's it. Thank you.